Okay, so once you have finished or gotten close to where you want to finish with your weaving, there's a couple little things or steps that we're going to do. For example, I'm going to zoom in here. You can see that I have what I call like some of the tails and the knots sticking out. To hide these, what I do is I usually just pull a little area and then I tuck these through there. Make sure I grab those tails and then I put them underneath. And that way it hides it really nicely. So I just kind of tuck those under, make sure I get it all the way through. I'm pulling it, and then I hide them underneath my circle weaving that I did. When I finished my last string, I also ended up just tying it to one of my loom, the warping strands, and tucked that tail part under as well. So once you get to that part, the next step is we're going to work on doing our silhouette, which is this piece right here. And so to get that, we need to think about what we're going to do. And I have many different templates, or you can draw your own thing. So the templates you can easily place on your paper, your felt. And then I have chalk, or I have some of my Crayola color pencil sticks, and we can use those. So the first thing, you want to get an idea of where your piece is at. So I want to make it where I have the correct curve, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on my felt piece here the white markings so I know exactly where it fits. And I want it to go about halfway, right? So I take it off, and this is about where it's going to be at. And I'd like to add some mountains is what I'm thinking. So I might draw a couple different mountain hills and get it higher on this end here, and then maybe I just kind of connect it there. So these are my mountains that I drew. Hopefully you can see that on here. And what I'll end up doing is grabbing my scissors, and when you have your scissors, it's important that you cut your felt here, because if you try to cut on the top part, it's not really going to go through. So you want to cut all the way in and give it a good squeeze. Okay. And I'm not going to cut all of my mountains all the way down. I want to just get the silhouette shape of it. So I might make this a little skinnier and then come back up this way and keep going the way I've got it. As you can see, slowly moving my pieces around. Alright, I'll keep going. And don't worry if it's not exactly as you thought or see. Okay, so I've got this part over here, and then I've got this bottom part here. Perfect. So now when I go to look at it, I have my mountain escape, and I might want to fix this little part here because that doesn't look right. And that's where that would go. And then I still want to have my wolf kind of howling somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'll use my extra scraps, and I'm not going to put it right in the middle because that's a waste of scraps, right? I'll put it here on the side. And I had a student who had cut this out. So, just saving scraps so somebody else could use it is also helpful. So I would just, pushing hard, trace out my animal shape. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is just take my wolf silhouette, and I'm going to trace it and then cut out that shape. Alright, so once you've figured out your layout and where you want your pieces to be, the next thing you're going to do is take your scraps and you're going to put them back in the scrap area. Bigger pieces with bigger pieces, little pieces with little pieces. My fourth graders use these in order to make their ugly dolls. So you'll have the same thing when it's your turn. And then you're going to grab one of my Elmer's bottles and you twist it to open it. And what you're going to do is just along the edges is where you're going to place that glue. So you're just you can do some glue dots, where you're not doing a ton of glue. This will take a while to dry, so I'm just going to put a little bit around because it's not really touching everything. The most important thing is that it touches the plate. So I'm going to stick it onto my plate where I have it. Perfect. Kind of give it a little bit of pressure. And I'm going to do the same thing with my wolf. Just kind of give them some good pieces. Again, a little goes a long way. When you're done, you close your glue bottle, and then it'll be ready for the next person. I'm going to stick my wolf on here so you can kind of see he's silhouetted within the silhouette of the mountains. The next step is, for the purpose of this video, I'm not putting everything back yet, but you will grab your paint tray as well as a paintbrush and some water, and you're going to paint the background. So think about what you're looking for in your scenery. Is it just starting to wake up outside? Is it not? Is it still dark? So you get to just kind of play with those colors and paint over your areas. Make it nice and coming together the way you want. So mix and match colors. Remember, lots of water is what makes everything kind of work really well together. And you don't want to use too much paint in one area because it is a paper plate, and paper plates will break down if there's a lot. Right? So why don't you start thinking about what you're going to do? And there you have it. Once it's done, I've got my wolf and my mountainscape and my watery background with it. Just make sure that your name obviously is still on it. Put it on the dry rack. And next time we'll just double check that everything is still sticking and gluing. And that's our project.